Every once in a while, things just come together perfectly. So when I had the opportunity to join my wife and son for a motorcycle trip through Alaska and up to Tuktoyaktuk in the Arctic Ocean, I didn't hesitate. Stick around, share the adventure with us. After a nice breakfast, we were anxious to tackle the first extended dirt section of the trip, the Denali Highway. The forecast called for some rain, so we were a bit nervous if a lot of rain would make the road surface a muddy mess, or just enough rain to keep the dust down. We did get some rain, but the road managed to stay in pretty good shape as we passed snowbanks and saw our first glaciers. We stopped in at a restaurant for a break just in time for a heavy downpour, where we met some other motorcycle travelers. Afterwards, we rode the remaining short distance to Tangle Lakes Campground while the skies brightened up a bit and we enjoyed a great camp dinner with a rainbow view of the lake. We had been told that the ride to Valdez would be some of the most beautiful scenery of our trip, and it did not disappoint. It was a great ride under beautiful blue skies. As we approached the seaside town of Valdez, the views were outstanding. I love to love you so, let all my feelings go. I love to run my hand across your hand. We checked in at our hotel, did some laundry, and stopped in at the Fat Mermaid for the best halibut we've ever had. We topped off the evening with a walk along the waterfront and a quiet night in a real bed. Today we would be making our way to McCarthy, which would include a long stretch of dirt in poor condition. As we left Valdez, Leslie suggested that we stop in at the Salmon Gulch fish hatchery. We were advised to watch for bears in the area, and I could see why. hatchery was pretty cool with lots of information. After we passed through Chitina, the seasonal McCarthy Road became a rough gravel road. The sun was intense, and with the heat and dust, we needed lots of water to avoid becoming dehydrated. Arrived at Base Camp Kennecott, which would be our camp for the night. "Stay out of the lower camp area," said the owner. "If the glacier carves out a chunk, that area would be flooded." So we found a nice spot on slightly higher ground with an amazing view of the Root Glacier and the Kennecott River, where we would spend a few nights listening to the creaks and moans of the glacier. With clear skies, we headed over the McCarthy Bridge into the town of McCarthy for lunch and a visit to the Kennecott Mines National Historic Landmark for the afternoon. The McCarthy Bridge is a long footbridge wide enough for people and motorcycles. It was nice to bring the bikes over so that we could make this ride to the Kennecott Mines without needing a shuttle. We had a nice lunch at the Potato Restaurant and then made our way towards the Kennecott Mines. We had a great afternoon taking a walk back in time through this abandoned copper mine. From 1911 to 1938, $200 million worth of copper was processed, with about 300 people working in the mill town and another 200 to 300 people working in the mines. The buildings are slowly being restored, and there was lots of historical information posted throughout the area. After an exhausting day walking in the sun, we headed back to camp for a nice glass of wine and camp dinner. Overnight, a strong storm blew through camp, dusting our tents with the wind and heavy downpour. Michael didn't set up his guy lines on his tent, so he was blown around a lot. It continued to rain in the morning, so we used the tarp to create a makeshift shelter for breakfast. Later on, we headed back into McCarthy, this time on foot, for some lunch and some ice cream at the general store. When we got back, we hung out under the tarp until the skies began to clear. Then it was time for glacier hunting. The Root Glacier in Wrangell St. Elias National Park is estimated to be 200 million years old, with ice that's 300 to 500 feet thick. We carved off some pieces from an iceberg to try. It has a slight mineral taste to it, but it's a pretty cool experience. After spending a few days in McCarthy, it was time to make our way west. With our off-road confidence growing, we blasted through the McCarthy Road and back onto pavement. We took the turn at Glen Allen and headed west to Palmer through the Talkeetna Mountains. There was some fantastic twisty roads and beautiful scenery to enjoy along this route. The bikes were starting to get pretty muddy, so we found a car wash to freshen up. After a nice breakfast and some grocery shopping, we hit the road towards Anchorage, and then south through some beautiful scenery towards the iconic Homer Spit. I really enjoyed the ride along Highway 1, along Turnagain Arm, and to the gentleman who chatted with us at Canyon Creek Rest Area and pulled ice-cold Gatorade out of his cooler for us, thank you, we are forever in your debt. We stopped in at our hotel in the town of Homer and left our gear in the room, and then made our way to the famous Homer Spit for dinner. After a nice stroll visiting some shops, we had dinner at Captain Patty's Fish House. A beautiful sunset ride brought us back to our hotel for the night. Today we would make our way around the beautiful Kenai Peninsula to the town of Seward to spend a couple of days exploring this popular cruise ship port. We secured one of the few remaining hotel rooms, which was nice since we were expecting rain over the next couple of days. After a good night's sleep and quick breakfast, we explored the visitor center, which had some great exhibits. We then found our way to a ticket office for a glacier viewing dinner excursion. Since we had the time, we decided it would be nice to get out on the water, so we booked our tickets. We boarded the ship and slowly made our way out into the ocean. Once out to sea, we were immediately treated to some humpback whales bubble net feeding. We weren't expecting this and enjoyed watching these massive animals working together to feed. We had dinner and finally arrived at the Glacier, where the staff fished out some glacier chunks for their after-dinner drinks. The excursion overall was fantastic, a little stomach churning at times due to some rougher seas in areas, but well worth the trip. With a foggy start to the day, we made our way back to the Talkeetna Mountains with a stop in Whittier along the way. arrived in Whittier excited for a unique experience. Whittier can only be accessed by water, which is also a cruise ship port, and by land via the 2.5-mile-long Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel, which is a combination highway and train tunnel. The direction of travel is controlled by 2 computer-based tunnel control systems. As a motorcyclist, just remember to keep it between the rails. During World War II, the U.S. Army constructed a military facility in Whittier, which became the entrance for U.S. soldiers into Alaska. The population of Whittier is 272 people, with most of its residents living in a condominium tower building, giving this town the nickname of a town under one roof. We still had lots of beautiful scenery to ride back to our campground for the night in the Talkeetna Mountains, so we took another ride through the Whittier Tunnel and made our way past Anchorage and Palmer to King Mountain State Recreation Area.
Open spot right here. Michael, what is it you're doing?
The monster's out.
Today we would make our way to a less visited part of Alaska, known as the town of Chicken.
Heading up the west coast in the morning to find a place where no one knows our faces or our names.
We again enjoyed the twisty mountain roads and stopped for fuel and lunch in the town of Glen Allen, and continued along Highway 1 to Tok, where we would take the Taylor Road, Highway 5, north to Chicken.
So come away with me, let's break free.
This seasonal 80-mile gravel and asphalt over permafrost road is in poor condition. Strewn with deep potholes and other hazards, it takes all of your attention.
Wake up to the sounds of no one around.
We finally arrived in Chicken, which tomorrow will be the start of the top of the World Highway for us. We secured a campsite and made our way to the Chicken Creek Saloon and Mercantile.
Let's just drive.
The saloon was straight out of the movies.
Come away with me.
With its ceiling adorned with men's caps and ladies' panties. The barkeep was quick to point out that these purple panties belonged to Norlie Schumacher of Itchy Boots fame. We were late for dinner service, but the barkeep did manage to find us some delicious chili and a cold beer. Just what we needed. Today we would ride the iconic Top of the World Highway. There was a chance of rain in the forecast, but with our recent dirt experience on the Denali Highway and McCarthy Road, we were confident that we could handle whatever it threw at us. Along the ridge were incredible. did get some rain, but overall the road was in pretty good shape. Before we knew it, we were back in Canada and the Yukon Territory.
We're back to Columbus.
We finally came to the end of the top of the World Highway and waited for the ferry to take us across the Yukon River into Dawson City. The river had a very strong current.
Hang on to your brake.
We didn't expect the ferry to impact land quite as hard as it did, which robbed Leslie of her footing, crashing her bike into mine, creating a domino effect, which ended with me on the ground. Michael, who had already christened his bike in Denali, not to mention his longer legs, managed just fine.
That was a little more side action than we expected on that.
With Leslie's windscreen broken off, we limped into town to deal with the first order of business. Lunch at River West Bistro. Our tummies now full, we found a room at the Bunkhouse Hotel where I repaired the minimal damage to Leslie's bike.
Hey Steve, what you doing?
Fixing the bike.